everyone to Spilling the Soup, episode 6. We're a Nintendo podcast, and as always, I'm William.
Hi everyone, it's Liam.
And we are both reporters for Nintendo Soup, a website all about Nintendo-related content. So feel free to check out any of the articles that we talk about today in the description below. And also check out our sale going on in the Nintendo Soup store. So I'll add some more details about that in case you're interested. But this is another two-person week. Unfortunately, Todd could not make it, so you're stuck with me and Liam. Liam, is your full name William, out of curiosity?
No, it's not, just Liam.
Okay, good. So it's not two Williams.
No, it's not.
We made sure to give you some variety in that regard. So, Liam, what were you up to last week since you weren't able to join us? I know you had some family stuff going on, but were you able to get some gaming in as well?
A little bit. I've been getting back into my Mario Tennis Aces on Switch recently. Just getting back into the competitive play and trying to get to the top of the leaderboard. Not quite there, but I'm getting ever closer to that top 50.
Oh, okay. Nice. How often do you play that?
Not worldwide, just UK. Just disclaimer, just UK. I used to play. I think it's the game I've clocked the most hours on my Switch. I think I'm about 140 hours on Mario Tennis now.
Whoa.
I main as Peach. She's the most balanced character in it. I was playing it actually just before we started this podcast, and I was in a pretty grueling final with another player. And I think we had. Well, I will say that if they are listening to this podcast, sorry, you lost. They were so close to winning. They had, I think, like maybe 12 championship points, and I managed to claw it back, and then it became my championship point singular, and they tried to do a special smash, and they hit it out of court. So, ha, I won.
Jeez. Wow, that's
It went on for absolutely ages. I think there was one rally, and I think it was like 70 hits. I was like, "Will you just let this ball go? I'm not going to lose."
Wow. Okay. So, there you have it, guys. If you were aware, Liam's a Mario Tennis connoisseur here. What was your opponent playing as? What character did they have?
They were playing as Donkey Kong, and they were trying to. What they were trying to do is they were trying to trying to do lob shot to send me out to the far end of the court, and then at the last minute do a drop shot so that I wouldn't have enough time to get in to catch it. But I was able to kind of counter our lob shot by sending the ball in different directions so that they weren't able to really get a good power shot in. So I was able to counteract it, but it was a tough match. I did enjoy it.
Okay, glad to hear you got that in. And do you play with a Pro Controller or the Joy-Cons using the motion controls?
Well, I usually play on handheld mode because I usually find playing it on the TV it was too difficult because with it being in full HD on the television, I found it a bit difficult to see the tennis ball going so fast. So only these last couple of weeks I went back to playing it on TV, and I've started to get better at it. So I've only lost. I think I've maybe won about 30 matches this month, and I've only lost about 4. So I think I'm about like a 90% success rate this month. So.
Okay, well, congrats. Glad to hear that you're succeeding in the Mario Tennis Aces world. And is there any new content to the game that players might want to know about if they want to get back in or check out the game themselves? I know sometimes they have tournaments where they give away new characters.
Yeah, the new characters, all that's all done now, but they did put in quite a lot of characters. So I think there was Pauline, Dry Bones, Boo. Absolutely hate Boo, he's so annoying. Shy Guy. I can't remember the rest, but they were all Piranha Plant. He's quite a tough one to get past. Chain Chomp. They added a lot of characters, but what they've started doing now is if you play online, once you've got a certain amount of points, you get costumes. So you can dress up your characters. So they're pretty simple costumes, but you get them just like win a couple of matches and then you've got them. It's just to encourage online play. But if you've not played it before, check it out. It's probably the best Mario Tennis game there's been.
Okay. How many Mario Tennis games have there been?
There was one on the N64. There was one on was there one on GameCube? I'm going to say yes. I don't know what it's called, but I'm sure there's been one every generation. But the one that was on the Wii U absolutely sucked. So if you have a Wii U and want Mario Tennis, don't buy it because it's awful. I think I had it for like a day and then I sold it because it was so rubbish. But
All
Mario
right.
Tennis Aces on Switch, they've really, really improved it.
Well, that's good to hear, and good to get the soup on Mario Tennis for the Wii U.
Can you
Um,
tell that I'm passionate about Mario Tennis?
yeah, I was not aware about this burning
I'm s- I'm
desire
s- I
for.
am so competitive at it. The language that comes out my mouth if I lose is not cute.
it, it brings out the true Scot in you.
Oh, definitely.
Well, nice. That's good to hear. I'm glad you're grinding away through that game, and that people are still putting in the time to get competitive with it.
Yeah. What about you? What have you been playing?
So this week, I know I've been talking about waiting for just the Fire Emblem DLC to come out, but I've basically come to the conclusion that I just want to finish the Golden Deer route to get some more lore because I'm just dying to know all the mysteries in this game. There's so much there that is that I feel like hopefully the DLC is going to be the answer for. But I know the Golden Deer dives more into the crests and lore of the world, so hopefully that'll scratch that itch for a little bit. And then I plan to actually complete the church route with with the Black Eagles once the DLC is released officially. So hopefully that should hold me over up until the release of Pokemon. And other than that, I have been in the middle of reviewing Trine 4, which I got to try at E3 with Todd this year actually. And it's been pretty fun, though I was kind of surprised after I checked out where I was in the game. And there are 5 acts, and when I was like, oh, we're getting through like maybe 10 or 20% of the story, and then I checked what act I was on. I was in the act 3, so I was really confused because the plot had been slowly progressing. I wouldn't say it's bad. I would just say the pacing could use some work. But
Right.
overall, it's pretty fun, at least in single player. Though I am curious about how it works out when I have someone else playing with me, because the game is
And yeah. Uh-huh.
is very much built for up to 4 players, I think.
Right. Uh-huh. And is that
But
just Trine 4 or is that like the full like all four games together? Because I'm sure
this
I
is
saw on eShop that they're selling all four together.
yes, all 4 I think are going for about $50, but I'm currently only on
Which is
4
quite a good
itself.
price.
Yeah, 4 is 30, so yeah, the collection's I would say pretty good deal. And I'm not sure how the first 3 play because Trine 4 is my first try at the series. So I definitely will try to give those a look and see how it's evolved. I've heard that 3 was very different and tried to go a different approach, which was very mixed in terms of reception. But I I think that Trine 4 is very much going back to its roots, and yeah, as it's just a pretty fun puzzle platformer that I'm glad is on
Yeah.
Switch because I can play on the go, and it's just cool to switch between all 3 of the characters, which I think is the big theme of the game.
Yeah.
Um, so I will hopefully have more news for you on that within a week or so. But that is basically what we've been up to since the last episode. So now it's time to dive into the hot plates. So the hot plates section here is all about the latest news that we have on our website. So these are all things that you can read from articles that are listed down below in the description. So you can also check it out by timestamp. And this is something that we missed last week, but we thought everyone should know because they are so cute. Pokemon Go Halloween 2019 event has now been confirmed, and we have a full list of the features, including the Kanto starters plus Pikachu in costumes, which are so adorable.
Very cute.
We've seen Pikachu hats and I think Squirtle and sunglasses, but seeing them wearing these costumes is just awesome. I will list out what you can actually catch for this event and go into more detail. So starting Thursday, October 17th at 1 p.m., you can rescue more Shadow Pokemon from Team Go Rocket. So those include Weedle, Kakuna, Beedrill, Electabuzz, Magmar, Lapras, Mareep, Seedot, Nuzleaf, Sableye, Trapinch, Cacnea, Shuppet, and Duskull. So a lot of new additions that you can catch for the Shadow Pokemon. So are you familiar with the Shadow Pokemon mechanic in Pokemon Go, Liam?
No.
So it's a new feature that you have now where you can encounter Team Go Rocket, as they're called in the game, at Pokemon stops. So when you try to spin the Pokestop for an item, Team Rocket will appear and say, hey, I'm stealing some of the items, which is why you aren't getting all of them, and you can battle me. So you will battle their Shadow Pokemon, and it'll be like a 3-on-3 match. At first it was pretty difficult, but now they changed out the
simplified
CP.
it a bit, yeah.
Well, no, the battle mechanics are the same. They just let you use basically any Pokemon that you have. Well, before it was more CP capped. So you would challenge someone at 15 and you could only use those Pokemon in your party. But once you battle all the Pokemon and defeat them, you actually have a chance to catch one of the Pokemon that they have there, which I think is kind of random, or depends on which Pokemon they have available. And then you can add it to your party. You have the option to purify it. And if you purify it, it becomes really strong. But I like to keep them as Shadow Pokemon just because those are kind of rare to have. And they're lower CP, so it's more just for a collectible in my approach to the Shadow Pokemon. So other than the Shadow Pokemon, we have more avatar costumes, including a Zubat bag, a Pikachu onesie, a Cubone cap, a Litwick cap, and a Mimikyu bag. So Mimikyu is getting some attention in this event, even though it is not in the game, actually. We're still 2 generations away from a Mimikyu being available in Pokemon Go. And we have a spooky shiny Pokemon making its debut, which is a Yamask. And Yamask is a Unova Pokemon that was introduced recently. So if you are trying to get a shiny Gen 5 Pokemon, Yamask is now available for that. And the event will be running from October 17th to November 1st. And everything above is permanent, which I just mentioned. But now we are going to go into the more Halloween-themed stuff that are limited time events. So these include more Ghost and Dark-type Pokemon appearing in the wild, eggs, and raids. Ghastly, Murkrow, and more Pokemon are going to be more frequent in the wild. The main meat of this event lies with the creepy, cute Halloween costumes that arrive in raids and in the wild. So some Pokemon have donned costumes to celebrate Halloween this year. Look forward to Bulbasaur wearing Shedinja costume, Charmander wearing a Cubone costume, Squirtle wearing a Yamask costume, and Pikachu wearing a Mimikyu costume. And if you look at this image, they look adorable. For Squirtle and Bulbasaur, they're both wearing hats, and it looks like Charmander has a Cubone hat on and maybe like a cape in the back. I can't really tell from the image, but Pikachu is in a full Mimikyu costume covering him, and it looks so cute. I've managed to catch one, but I've not seen any of the other starters recently, but hopefully I will get a full starter costume squad together by the end of the event. Other stuff related to this, we now have Darkrai appearing in 5-star raids, which is a Generation 4 mythical Pokemon. There are some frightful and fun field research tasks that you can do. This includes catching a bunch of Ghastly or Shuppet and then getting a reward for that. You have received a spooky message, so check out special research when the Halloween event begins, and you might face a forbidden Pokemon. Liam, are you familiar with this part of the Halloween event?
Nope. I haven't played Pokemon Go in such a long time. I've still got it installed on my phone, but
Oh,
I can't remember the last time I used it.
yeah, well, if you want to check this out and are familiar with the Pokemon Spiritomb, this event actually lets you catch it once you completed all the research tasks for it, which is basically using berries and catching a certain number of Pokemon. The whole lore about Spiritomb is that it's made up of 108 spirits. So I believe the field research for it asks you to use 108 berries to help catch Pokemon. So, kind of going along with that. And other bonuses include 2 times catch candy, 2 times hatch candy, and 2 times transfer candy. So, have fun, stay safe, and have a spooky good time, trainers. Let's go. That is directly from the Pokemon Go website. But yeah, what do you think about this event? Maybe if you haven't played Pokemon Go in a while.
It's good that they're still putting out the content there, because obviously there's not as many people playing it as there was when it first launched. But it's great that the developers are still putting all this effort into the game and really making it worthwhile for people that enjoy it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a good, consistent flow, I'd say. There's still about 5 million people who play it, but if they want to draw in like the huge amount of people that originally downloaded, I think
Uh,
playing to the nostalgia of the Gen 1 starters and Pikachu and the costumes is a great way to go about it.
yeah. Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so other than that, one other piece of Pokemon Go news, the Pokemon Go Community Day Pokemon has been revealed, and it is going to be Chimchar actually. So Community Day for November is going to be scheduled on November 16th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. your local time, where you will get the chance to actually catch Chimchar, which is the adorable fire monkey from Generation 4. The special move has not been revealed for when you evolve it all the way to Infernape within that time period. But we do know that bonuses for the event include 3-hour lures, 25% of walk distance needed to hatch eggs, so you can hatch eggs 4 times as quickly, and Chimchar that will steal your phone, according to this Twitter video and YouTube video promoting the event.
Super cute video.
Yeah, it's adorable, though extremely questionable because a lady comes up to a tree that's full of Chimchar, and there is a miracle going on there because this tree is not burning even though it is covered in fire monkeys.
I was actually expecting the Chimchar to set the lady on fire, but I guess that's not very Nintendo.
Oh, I mean, I yeah, it looks like I'm setting up something there because I was like, oh my god, no, fire hazard, get away! And then the Chimchar does steal the person recording on the phone, but nothing else seemed to happen. The phone looks intact, and the tree is not ablaze, so I think everyone's safe for the moment in that video. But yeah, we have a few weeks left before November, and it looks like Chimchar is going to take the spotlight. I have not caught enough Chimchar, but hopefully this will give me the chance to do that because I do love that evolutionary line. And I don't think I've fully evolved any of my Sinnoh starters in the game yet, actually. So this is probably going to be the first one that I actually get the chance to do that.
Yeah.
One more piece of news related to Pokemon Go, which is actually going to be about Mewtwo. So Mewtwo is set to be distributed for Pokemon Let's Go at Best Buy in the United States. And this was announced by the Pokemon Company International, which is about a new event distribution for Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee in the US. So from November 4th to November 14th, you can visit any Best Buy location in the US with your Pokemon Pass smartphone app to receive a serial code to redeem Mewtwo in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee. This special Mewtwo is level 70 and knows the moves Amnesia, Psychic, Teleportation, and Recovery. So I'm not sure if this is an error or not, or maybe this is something in Pokemon Let's Go, but as far as I'm aware, there isn't a move called Teleportation. There's just a move called Teleport.
Yeah, it's probably a typo.
Yeah, maybe it's a typo on our part or the source that we got it from, but if there's any updates on that, I'll let you know next week. Yeah, so if I go to Cerebi, it looks like it is teleport. So just clarification on that. No new move confirmed for Let's Go. It'll just be teleport. Which I don't think Mewtwo can learn naturally, though I might be wrong about that. I know Mew, I'm pretty sure can learn it, but I don't know what the situation is for Mewtwo. But yeah, I actually don't have Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee.
Oh, really?
No, I might be inclined to get it because of another piece of news that we're going to be talking about. But do you have either of these games, Liam?
I have Let's Go Eevee, and my husband has Let's Go Pikachu. But I think I've only left Pallet Town,
Oh
and then
no!
I started playing something else. I'm more of a casual Pokemon player, so I'll get to it at some point. I've been too busy with Mario Tennis, so I just don't have
That
time.
I mean, I can't blame you. You are grinding away at the Mario Tennis World Championship right now, so I'm not gonna take that away from you. But do you know about the Pokemon Pass smartphone app, actually?
No, I don't. Mm-mm.
So this is gonna be good to know in case you do have the chance to. Oh wait, no, you're not in the U.S. Sorry. So, but
So say this is like America only.
yeah. But if you are an American and in the United States and want to get a Mewtwo in your game besides the one that you can catch in Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, this is a good bit of news for anyone playing the game because not a lot of people know about the Pokemon Pass app, which I was also not aware of until recently. But Pokemon Pass is a smartphone app that you can have that I was able to use and works pretty well. And it's an app that you just download, you connect to your trainer account if you have that for Pokemon Go, or another account potentially if you are not using your trainer club account. And you can go to certain places such as GameStop or Best Buy in this case, where you will scan at least for the GameStop one that I'm going to talk about in a bit. I just scanned a QR code on the app, and when I got home and connected to the internet, I was able to receive the actual code that comes with it. So
Right.
you don't even need internet for it, which is pretty nice. You just go find the QR code in the store and scan that. It looks like that's going to be the case for Best Buy as well. So if you go during that time, just make sure you have that app downloaded, but you don't need to actually bring in your Switch to get the Pokemon. This is a bit of a change from what distributions have looked like in the past. Lots of times you would actually have to bring in your system and connect to the local wireless signal that is coming from the Pokemon part of the store and scan it there and then just download it there. Other times you would get a little card, which I thought was kind of nice, and you could scratch off the back to get your code and then put that into the game. But I think having the Pokemon Pass app makes sure that they don't run out of cards or that you don't have to bring your system with you after work or something. And if you just want to keep it at home, you can still do that. So overall, I was surprised at how simple the process was, and kind of glad that they're using this Pokemon Pass app as a way to get these distribution Pokemon. I wonder if it's gonna come to the UK or the outside of North America, because I feel like everyone could really benefit from using this.
Yeah, I guess maybe because you have to go to Best Buy. We don't have Best Buy here. So I wonder
That's
if it's maybe
true.
just wait until they find somebody to partner with. Although I'm sure it will. It used to be back in the days with like the old DS Pokemon games. You would have to go into the video game store here called Game, and you would
Mm.
get your Pokemon through there.
Do you also have wait, oh no, I think Canada has EP Games as their equivalent, but you guys just have Game, right?
We have Game, yeah. And so you would just go in there, like you just would connect to their Wi-Fi and download it that way, I think.
Got it, I see. I am gonna try something then and potentially stop by a Best Buy, scan it on my phone, and then see maybe if you're able to use that code in Let's Go, but or it might just be a region lock thing and you wouldn't be able to use it all. But we will try to experiment with this in the coming week, hopefully, and get that news to you guys. Because I know for the next bit of news that we're going to talk about, you can actually get three codes. So what I'm referring to is the shiny Solgaleo and shiny Lunala distribution also happening in North America. So not just the United States, you can actually get Mexico and Canada, presumably. But sorry, once again, Liam, it does not look like it is international outside of North America.
I think this is because of Brexit. We're not getting the Pokemon.
Oh my gosh, is yeah. Well, anyway, this distribution is for Pokemon Sun, Pokemon Moon, Pokemon Ultra Sun, and Pokemon Ultra Moon. So if you have three of these games, you can actually get three versions of this Pokemon. So Nintendo and the Pokemon International Company have announced this event, which will be happening in the US, but I believe also in Canada and Mexico. And it goes from October 21st to October 10th. This event lets you go to any GameStop location in the US and access the Pokemon Pass smartphone app while you are there. And it will let you scan the QR code and receive either Shiny Solgaleo or Shiny Lunala. So if you have Pokemon Sun or Ultra Sun, you will get Shiny Lunala, and then if you have Moon or Ultra Moon, you'll get Shiny Solgaleo. So that way you have the Pokemon that's the opposite from the one on your box and the main legendary of the game. And I went in yesterday, stopped by, couldn't find the QR code because it wasn't in the Pokemon section, but it was actually on the counter where you go and purchase stuff, which was fine. It worked, was pretty fast, and downloaded the code onto my game and now have Shiny Lunala waiting for me. So, pretty pleased with that process, and hopefully that Pokemon Pass app will be used later on for Sword and Shield or other distributions if they do want you to go out to the store and get them. But yeah, that's basically my experience so far with the distributions on Pokemon Pass.
Sounds pretty simple.
Yeah. As for the shinies themselves, I think they're all right. They kind of look like they've been drenched in blood a little bit.
Uh,
I
I
do
don't think that's what
appreciate
Nintendo was going for.
maybe it's the Halloween theme or something, but they are pretty distinct from their original forms, which I do appreciate. We do have more Pokemon news regarding Sword and Shield. Don't worry, it's just two more articles, and then we're going to take a break. Hang in with us, or check out the timestamps below if you want to zoom ahead to another part of the podcast. But we did get a trailer for Gigantamax Pikachu, Charizard, Eevee, Meowth, and Butterfree. These new Gigantamax versions of the Kanto region Pokemon were revealed in a trailer last week, and we now have new information for each of them because Oh my gosh. I think the one that stands out to me the most is the Gigantamax Pikachu, which, according to the Sword and Shield website, stands at 68 feet and 11 inches. The weight is unknown. The ability is static. And it looks like the classic design for Pikachu, which was chubbier and just less athletic looking than the modern day Pikachu that we have. So it was kind of nice to see that throwback in the design. But Gigantamax Pikachu, of course, is a giant version of Pikachu, and it has electric type attacks that, when used by Gigantamax Pikachu, will change into G-Max Volt Crash, which will not only deal damage but also paralyzes all Pokemon. In the trailer itself, you see this used against Stoutland, which is a ground type Pokemon and usually can't be affected by electric type moves. But it looks like when it's Gigantamax and it uses G-Max Volt Crash, it still took damage and was paralyzed. So you might have a bit of an advantage when using this move against Pokemon that would normally be immune to it. And also related to this, we have Gigantamax Eevee revealed, which is normal type, 59 feet and 1 inch, maybe more, weight unknown, and the ability is still either Runaway or Adaptability, which are Eevee's normal abilities. And it just gets a lot of fluff around its neck. It gets access to the move G-Max Cuddle, which happens if it uses any normal type moves in Gigantamax form. And G-Max Cuddle won't deal damage, but it will infatuate any opposite gender Pokemon. So very much like the move Attract. But for Pokemon Sword and Shield, if you want to get Gigantamax Eevee and Gigantamax Pikachu, you will actually have to have save data on your Nintendo Switch for either Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee. So if you have Let's Go Pikachu, you get the special Pikachu that can Gigantamax, and if you have Let's Go Eevee, you'll get the Eevee that can Gigantamax.
All right, so a lot of information there. What do you think about these two Pokemon getting Gigantamax forms?
I think they look quite cool. I don't like people referring to the Gigantamax Pikachu as Fat Pikachu. He's not fat. He's big. He's big boned. Okay.
Fair enough. I do like the design, as I mentioned. It's kind of cool. At first, I was like, why does it look weird and different? But then I realized, it's a throwback to the classic design for Pikachu.
I think they've made a smart choice for the Gigantamax ones, picking all like really classic ones that pretty much everyone will know. I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say they're doing a pretty good job of just picking ones that are popular or at least well known by the public, and then bringing the classic Pikachu as a kind of cool homage to that as well. Gigantamax Pikachu also has like a humongous tail that goes directly into the sky, so that looks kind of interesting. Seems like Pikachu has the better G-Max move than Eevee, unfortunately. So Eevee was slightly robbed in this case, but they're both pretty interesting designs, to say the least. And as I mentioned before, this is probably the only reason I would be interested in borrowing or getting a discounted version of Let's Go Eevee or Let's Go Pikachu so that I could obtain these two Gigantamax Pokemon. But if they reveal other ones that aren't necessarily locked to having the save data for those games, I think I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So you would be able to obtain both of them because do you have the physical cartridge for both Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu?
I do, yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
So if your husband also has save data, then you can easily obtain these once you get Sword and Shield.
I'll need to let him know because I'm sure he pretty much does though. He's a Pokemon fanatic.
Yeah, and I think the only requirement is that you have any save data. It doesn't matter how far you're in. So if he wants to get it, he can easily just insert your copy and then he'll be able to receive it in game. From what I understand. But if you do want a special Gigantamax Pokemon and are like myself and have not played either Let's Go Eevee or Pikachu, you can get Gigantamax Meowth. And Gigantamax Meowth might be taking the cake here. It's 108 feet, 3 inches, weight unknown, still has the ability Pickup or Technician, and it is something. So, Gigantamax Meowth is an elongated version of Meowth with these dark, sinister eyes, and oh my god, it looks terrifying, but also kind of fascinating. The special Meowth that can Gigantamax can be received as an early purchase bonus for Sword and Shield if you are able to get the game between November 15th, 2019 and Wednesday, January 15th, 2020. You're able to collect this Pokemon in game. Gigantamax Meowth will have the G-Max move Gold Rush, and G-Max Gold Rush will deal damage to opponents and scatter coins all over the area, which will give you a in-cash bonus once you complete the battle. So, very much like Payday. What are your thoughts on Gigantamax Meowth?
Well, looking at the picture on the article of the Meowth, it kind of looks like my dog when she gets overexcited and she's jumping at people.
She grows to 108 feet and terrorizes you.
Not quite, but it certainly feels like it. But I think it's quite a cool change from the regular Meowth. So it's not just like a giant Meowth. They've actually done a really good job of changing the aesthetic and making it really different.
Do you appreciate that it's not just a huge version of it? Because I think Gigantamax is trying to be a little different than Dynamax, where Dynamax is just like, make everything big. Gigantamax has a few more design choices put into it and changes to the original form of the Pokemon. I think Eevee is probably the one that has a little questionable design change. Yeah, just added fluff to the body. But a Meowth does seem distinct in that sense, and I appreciate it more now. But when I originally saw the trailer, I was like, what is going on here? Why? Who thought about this? We do have 2 more Pokemon, also from Kanto. And I'm going to start off with Gigantamax Butterfree. So, Gigantamax Butterfree is 55 feet and 9 inches, ability Compound Eyes, and has these enormous wings. Like, they are gonna fill the arena wherever Gigantamax is from. The light of Gigantamax Butterfree's wings comes from its scales, which can cause paralysis, poisoning, or sleep on its opponents, and the scales actually work as effective weapons. These wings can stir up a wind strong enough to lift a 10-ton truck just by flapping. The wind also scatters poisonous scales around the area, so simply being near this Pokemon is very dangerous. Bug-type moves used by Gigantamax Butterfree will change into G-Max Befuddle, and this move won't deal damage, but it will scatter the scales around the Pokemon and cause them to become poisoned, paralyzed, or asleep. So that looks like it's going to be a random effect from its move, but I'm kind of excited about the design for this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's got a whole green coloring to its wings. The base form looks pretty similar, though it has a different color antenna, but it just looks really pretty, I'd say.
Yeah, it's pretty cute. And I was never bothered about Butterfree in the original game, but I would definitely look to catch one and Gigantamax the hell out of it in Pokemon Sword.
I used Butterfree in probably just my original playthrough of Fire Red and Leaf Green, but it would get replaced once I got to like Vermilion City because it was weak against the Electrotech gym there. But it's kind of cool to see it getting some love, and I think it's not necessarily an obvious choice for people who played the games, but if you watch the anime, I think there's a lot of memories and associations that people have with it there. And of course, the big dog of the Gigantamax Pokemon that were revealed, we have Gigantamax Charizard, which is probably going to be joining Gigantamax Butterfree for a kaiju movie because, oh my god, Gigantamax Charizard...
3.
yeah, Gigantamax Charizard stands at 91 feet, 10 inches, and looks monstrous because its shoulders are on fire, its back is on fire, everything's on fire. The flames inside its body have become stronger, and now fire erupts from its mouth, horns, in addition to its tail. It seems that the strength of this Pokemon's flames increases when Gigantamax Charizard roars. So the flames have enhanced Gigantamax power on them. It's just hotter than it has wings that are hotter than magma. It is just lighting everything on fire, apparently. Fire-type attacks used by Gigantamax Charizard will change to G-Max Wildfire. G-Max Wildfire will deal damage to an opponent when it hits. It will also continue to deal damage for 4 turns to any Pokemon on the field that is not Fire-type. But yeah, this Pokemon looks intense. Like, it's got these symbols on its belly and its leg, and it's just pure destruction. Like, I don't know what else this Pokemon is meant to do.
It's pretty cool and kind of terrifying if you think about it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I would be just so afraid to bring this into battle because it seems like even being close to it would cause me 3rd-degree burns. So I would use this Pokemon with caution. Though it seems like our champion of the region has a Charizard himself, so I would not be surprised if his Pokemon will Gigantamax into this Charizard. Out of these 5, do you have a favorite that sticks out for you?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'd probably go with Charizard.
Yeah, I think Charizard easily has the best G-Max move, and also this form is just incredible to look at. I'd say a close second to me is probably Pikachu because of its design choice. Yeah, it's just that's really neat, and I appreciate that they did that, which also is going to show or have people accuse us of being Gen 1ers. But if you think about it, they probably purposefully made Pikachu and Charizard the coolest of this bunch because people just like them the most, and they're some of the most popular Pokemon in existence.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'd probably say. I don't want to say Eevee 3rd because their evolution is probably the least different from the original form. But I just like Eevee, so I'd maybe say Eevee 3rd, Meowth 4th, and Butterfree 5th.
Yeah, I'd say Meowth to me is still pretty creepy, so I would put Butterfree 4th or 3rd. Just because I like Eevee, though I like Espeon probably more, so I just have that bit of favoritism towards it. And the fluff is a little, it's okay as a Gigantamax form, but I do wish they could have done more with it.
Yeah.
That's our thoughts on the new Gigantamax Pokemon that were revealed. And that covers our Pokemon section, I believe. So we're going to take a short break and come back with some other news. So stick around for just a break and we'll be right back. Hi everyone, William here. Just as a reminder that we have a sale going on right now on the Nintendo Soup Store to celebrate our 1-year anniversary. The sale includes discounts on certain games such as Legend of Zelda, World of Final Fantasy, and some products that are from Japan exclusively, such as the Nintendo Switch dock for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, some Pokemon wireless chargers for iPhones, TCG sets, and more. So offers are valid while supplies last. The sale will go on until October 31st. All right, have a good one, and back to the show. All right, so hi everyone. We are continuing episode 6 of Spelling the Soup, and we're actually going to cover an interesting article that came out regarding Japanese male middle school students, where a recent survey finds that 72% of these students aspire to be YouTubers, esports players, and game creators. The insurance company called Sony Life published a survey talking about middle school students in Japan and what their aspirations are. So the findings were pretty incredible, some would say, especially for the male middle school students living in Japan. According to the survey, 30% of male middle school students want to become YouTubers or video content creators. The second most desired job is pro esports player at 23%, and then game creator at 19%. And more traditional jobs such as IT engineer or programmer and company management employee came in at 16% and 14% respectively. So the findings show a bit of a shift in what students nowadays are looking to become once they graduate and take on careers. Back in 2017, the most desired job was IT engineer or programmer at 24%, followed by game creator at 20%, and YouTuber at 17%. Looking at the female middle school students, they have a record, or their findings showed that 18% of them want to become singers, 16% of them want to become artists, and doctors at 14%. Between 2017 and 2019, it did not look like there was a big shift in career choices for the female middle school students. So, what are your thoughts on these findings, Liam?
It's a little bit depressing, to be honest. It's I think if people want to be game creators, I think that's absolutely fantastic. It's something to, I think, in my opinion, is something really to aspire to, because it requires you to work really hard and get a good education. I think I can't really comment on esports players because it's not a thing that I really follow. But things like YouTubers and stuff, I just don't really get it. If I'm, I think it's. I don't want to say that it's people not aspiring to be, like to focus on like having a great career and their education and things, but to me it seems like an easy thing to do. And I don't know if that's just because of the advent of things like reality TV and all this kind of stuff, that people just want to make easy money, which I can understand. But I just think it would be good if people wanted to focus on education and be more creative, with like a game creator and programmer would do.
Yeah, and I think that room for creativity and definitely a lot of hard work and time put into videos is still something that exists with YouTubers, because a YouTuber is a really broad term if you think about it, because you do have some of the more famous YouTubers which are known for vlogs specifically, or doing wild schemes and stuff like, or not schemes, but like videos that are meant to grab attention and views and just go for the most general audience to get the most attention and the biggest audience. But then you do have YouTubers that work on being educational, on being informative, on giving people some more context or knowledge through experiments that they show. So it kind of really depends on what that student interests are.
The YouTubers that because I don't really follow any YouTubers. I don't really know that many. So it's probably just the only ones that I know of here in the UK, and they're just kind of ones that are famous for doing stupid stuff on the internet. And it's just a little bit depressing that people are making loads of money and are successful and famous by doing stupid stuff on the internet. So maybe that's just my experience of it.
Got it. Yeah, definitely. And I think that's in general what most people I'd say think about YouTube, which is kind of disappointing, given that the platform itself, people out there, maybe less than like 5% of the ones that are known are the ones that get the most representation and coverage in the news, partly because I think a lot of the news cycle tends to try to portray YouTubers in that light and associate them that way. Kind of putting YouTuber as a label on someone, especially if it fits that agenda. Like there was a case, I think a year ago now, when there was someone who was stabbed in their apartment after trying to like chase down someone, and the news covered it as like YouTuber killed after like home invasion or something. And he had put maybe 2 videos on YouTube that were less than 100 views.
2 videos.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, it's a YouTuber." Like, "Oh, YouTubers are bad." Like, he had more stuff on Instagram as like a workout person, or like a fitness Instagram person than he did on YouTube. But they were like, "No, YouTuber is the label we're going to use for this article." And I think a lot of people on the platform that really see the value in the communities that they've built are trying to change that. One of the most recent things that I've seen is actually a YouTuber by the name of Mr. Beast, who's known for kind of treading the middle ground between being someone who produces content that's going to get a lot of attention while being altruistic at the same time. And
right.
One of the, like, he's done things like give people who are homeless a home, or like even for one of his most recent ones, he went through the drive-through of a restaurant I think 1 million times or something, and was donating the food that he was buying to local hospitals, police stations, schools. And one of the biggest things that he's doing right now in celebration of reaching his 20 million subscriber mark is launching a campaign called Team Trees, where he's working with a ton of different YouTubers, the Arbor Foundation, and people all over social media to plant 20 million trees by the end of 2019.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's just crazy to see this, and also a movement that's trying to change the narrative of what people think of when they think about YouTubers. So I think it's really exciting to see this in action, and hopefully these are the kind of YouTubers that people are looking at now if they're middle school. And aspiring to be, because I'd say that's another part about YouTube and just social media in general, is that students and kids, young adults, are looking at these platforms and finding their role models there because they produce content that's directly for them, and they get to know them probably more than they get to know an IT person or an engineer or a game designer, because they're not posting on social media necessarily as much. Though some of them are, and that's really cool to see people trying to educate and engage with people who want to learn about that industry on things like YouTube. But that's not necessarily what people think of when they think about the platforms.
Yeah. Well, just a disclaimer to any YouTubers that are listening to this podcast: I'm not hating on you, okay?
Yeah, and every YouTuber is different. Like, every person's going to be different. Depends on the content they make, who their audience is, and what their goal is with the platform.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder how much this survey differs in other parts of the world. I know that in the US, it's also been reported that students are looking to become social media influencers as well. And I wonder if that's going to necessarily even be possible by the time they do become adults, given that there's so much saturation on every platform at this point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how those career changes turn out in the end. But hopefully this can also be an indicator that students aren't afraid to follow their passion in producing something and being their own boss, but understanding that it takes a lot of time to make content that they see on YouTube. Like just to give you guys a bit of insight, it can take like up to 3 or 4 hours to sometimes put these videos together and on the channel for you people to watch. So think about people who do this every day or do this like multiple
days a week. It's insane.
Moving on from that piece of news, we also have something else in Japan, which is about a Nintendo Switch Pro Controller receiving a new patent. So the IP office in Japan has shown a new patent for the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller. The patent basically shows improved grips that enhances how operable the controller is. We have a few images on the article that we'll add to the video, presumably. But yeah, it doesn't look like there are a ton of changes other than the grips themselves. So I wonder if this means that the patent, we're going to get a patent soon that shows some other improvements to the controller itself. But given this bit of news, what do you think about the new grips potentially coming to the controller?
I mean, have people complained about the grips on the current Pro controller? I don't have one, so I don't really know.
Oh, I see. That's something I'm not sure about. I think most people that I've talked to have barely mentioned the Pro Controller as something that's an issue for them. I personally haven't had a ton of things that I've noticed about that are bad, but
I've heard more about people complaining about the Joy-Con drift on the Joy-Cons.
Yes, and that's a problem that I did have. I actually sent in my Joy-Con and they have sent it back, though I've not been able to test the drift on it yet. And the Pro Controller has not shown any of those issues. So I could see the grip maybe being a little more sticky or like have a little more tension to it, but I don't think it's a huge issue. This could just be a minor change that they're producing with the Pro Controller. So now we have something that you actually wanted to talk about last week, but didn't get the chance to since you weren't here, which is the Cotton reboot is coming to Japan in 2020, the spring to be specific. So this is a reboot of a classic shoot 'em up that is coming to Japan on the Nintendo Switch. There's a new trailer below which looks at some of the gameplay, and it looks kind of interesting. It's about a girl on a broomstick, I believe.
Yep. I don't really know much about the story. I just know that I've played it. I was on holiday in Japan back in 2011, and I don't know if you've heard of the shop in Akihabara called Super Potato, which sells tons of video game stuff. And myself and my husband, we spent hours in that shop. They had like orange GameCubes. They had all the old like NES and SNES games and everything, all like perfectly packaged. So we were trying to decide like what we could afford to buy. So I bought all the classic Marios, if anyone wants to know. On the top floor of the shop, they have like an arcade, and one of the games was Cotton, and I think I'd pretty much run out of money to buy video games, so I was bored, and it was really warm, and the top floor was the only floor that had air conditioning, so I decided to stay up there and play some video games. So I just used whatever yen I had and played Cotton for a little while, and it was a lot of fun. And I have absolutely no idea why it's never been released outside Japan, because I would buy all of them in a heartbeat because it was crazy fun.
Nice, that's awesome. So it was an arcade game up there?
Yeah, so it's kind of like it was. I'm just kind of struggling to remember exactly what happened in the game, but it was like I was a little girl on a broomstick, and basically it was all this stuff flying towards me, and I was basically just like casting, like throwing like spells out to block stuff and fly, and basically just trying to fly through them. So I guess it was kind of like Space Invaders, but it was a lot more art. I would say the graphics were a lot better, and it was the sort of things that were coming at you were more varied and had different attacks and things, and it was pretty tense trying to avoid everything and reach the end.
Yeah, it looks like it can it can get pretty difficult just from the trailer that I saw, but I do like seeing all the different types of attacks that she can use. Because she has like one where it's a big lightning bolt that just covers everything in front of her. She had a fairy at one point, it looks like.
Yeah.
The
I
latest.
think I only used the lightning bolt on it because it was the most effective. I just was zap, 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 get out my way.
Yes, and from what I can tell about the history of the game, the first release of it was in 1991 called Cotton Fantastic Night Dreams, and then the most recent one was Magical Pachinko Cotton in 2003. So that might have been the.
I think that's the one I played.
Yeah, that makes sense because it was the newest one there. So yeah, it looks like it's coming to Japan on Switch, but you could probably download it from the Japanese eShop, and since it doesn't look like the story's a huge factor in it, you could probably still enjoy it.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I certainly enjoyed it on the one I played.
But but going back to your story, that's interesting to hear that it didn't have any air conditioning in the shop you were at, because I've been to Akihabara, but everything in there was pretty cool, I'd say.
Oh, it was absolutely roasting, and I'm Scottish, so I don't do well in heat. It's always cold here, so I was absolutely melting, and it was the only floor that had like big fans set up. So I was like, let me just sit here, play some Mario, play some Cotton, and just cool down.
Nice. Do you still have the Mario games that you purchased there?
Yes, I do. I think I bought the original Mario, Mario 2, Mario 3, Super Mario World, and Super Mario Kart, the SNES one. So it's the full original packaging of the SNES games. And I've got them. I keep them in storage. And I think my husband bought some Pokemon ones. But we keep them all fully packaged, sealed, in mint condition, so they don't get damaged at all.
Cool. Good thing to hear that you're preserving them as well, because as time goes on, those are going to be harder to find for sure.
Yeah, and then I'll be able to sell them and have an early retirement.
Hopefully, we'll see about that. I went to Japan this last summer, and I didn't have a Switch yet, so I was just going through and looking at games, and I wasn't sure what I could get or what I even should get, because there were some good deals, but I wanted to know what games I could just grab and actually play in English. So it seems like really nothing before 2013 stood out to me as something that fit that category. And since I didn't have a Switch yet, I was like, should I even go for it? Because I would see some games at like half off in some stores. And I was like, oh, I should just get it. Like Bayonetta was there. Mario Kart.
Was that in Super Potato?
No, these were actually really good deals in cities and areas outside of Tokyo. Because the way my trip worked, I was actually in almost every city around Tokyo and didn't get a chance to check out Akihabara. I was in Tokyo the first day, but then only there on weekends briefly. And I thought, oh, they're gonna have better deals in Akihabara, so I should just wait and like buy stuff there. But the deals were a lot better outside for the newer games. So I messed up there and should have just gone for it when I saw it and saved it for when I got a Switch. But now I know.
Yeah, so if you're in Japan again, go to Super Potato because that's like the number one spot for gamers.
Yeah, I went to several of them. I just don't remember the names, so I might have stopped by Super Potato, but I was going through all of them so quickly I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so cool to see all the different game collections that they had there, and how Heart Gold and Soul Silver are extremely overpriced anywhere in the world. So I'm glad to have that game. Speaking of games and their value, this is just such a smooth transition, as you can tell. Fire Emblem Three Houses and Untitled Goose Game have both been nominated for Game of the Year in the Golden Joystick Game of the Year Award category. And as readers might be aware, This event is something that happens every year to commemorate the best video game titles that have been released, and 2 fan favorites of the Nintendo collection are now nominated. And these are actually the only Nintendo games that have been nominated for this year. So they're going for the Ultimate Game of the Year 2019 award, to be specific. The competition does look to be pretty intense, since you have games such as Sekiro, Resident Evil 2, Gears 5, Telling Lies, which I'm actually not sure what that's about, Outer Worlds, Disco Elysium, Control, which I've heard mixed things about.
I've heard a lot of good things about that one.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's on there. We have also Apex and Call of Duty, which just came out. So, yeah, that looks like most of the popular ones on there that people know about. The event is going to be hosted by comedian Danny Wallens, and a pre-show will be hosted by Alex Wilton Regan, and will be streamed on Joystick's Twitch channel at 3:30 p.m. on a specific date. Oh, on Friday, November 1st at 5 p.m. GMT, which I'm actually not sure what time zone that is.
That's my time zone.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, perfect. So it'll be
Greenwich Mean Time.
Oh, okay. So that's coming up pretty soon. So if you want to check that out, hopefully you've listened to this podcast before then. But yeah, what do you think about these 2 Nintendo games being the ones nominated?
I've not played this Untitled Goose game at all, but I've heard like a million people talking about it. So I think I wanted to check it out. I'm not surprised that Fire Emblem's there because it's had such a good response. And especially with the DLC coming out, you really are getting like good value for your money as well, which I don't think you get with a lot of games these days. So I'm not surprised it's there.
Definitely, I'd say Fire Emblem is easily a good contender for this, though they're both very different games from everything else that's on the list. So I'm not sure how that works. In regards to just Game of the Year, I wonder if Untitled Goose Game is getting some more attention because its internet popularity and also the fact that it's not just on Switch. I believe it's also on PC.
Yeah.
So I could see this being a factor that's pushing it to get more attention. Fire Emblem, I'd say, just solid all around, and as you mentioned, like the content just seems to keep coming with it, and a lot of variety with everything else. I'm trying to think about other games that might be up there. I do know people have been praising Astral Chain a lot, though I personally am kind of mixed about it, so I could see that potentially having been nominated. I'm not sure if games like Super Mario Maker 2 would make sense for this.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I would maybe see something like Luigi's Mansion 3 in it if it had come out earlier, but I guess that's just it's after the cut-off date for this year, so that might be a 2020, contender.
Yeah, I actually am curious about this because I think that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate released after this event as well, but I'm not sure how that fits.
Because that wasn't nominated last year.
No, because it hadn't been released yet, or I think had just been released. So, or maybe I'm confusing it with another Game of the Year event, but I wonder if it's going to make it onto that one, since it looks like November, December games typically don't make it since it's so late.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
maybe they just don't count games from November, December.
Potentially, but I feel like that's kind of a weird decision because you're excluding some huge game releases that come out during the holidays.
Yeah.
I think another game that might have been on there if it had released the same year it had released in other places is Dragon Quest XI-S, which has seemed like a phenomenal game, but I think since it's like a different edition of it, it's not eligible to be nominated. I actually am looking through the list of some releases for this year and seeing Daemon X Machina, which I totally forgot came out in September. Um, that game, oh my gosh, that game has been so undercovered, I feel like. Even though it was like announced at the same time as Astral Chain, like a year or two ago now. So I don't understand what's going on with their marketing for that. And also just another thing to note that I want to touch on: seeing Untitled Goose Game as an indie game being nominated for Game of the Year and also being on Switch is one of the coolest things as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because I think that's really rare to see a non-AAA title, but people seem to appreciate how it handles its gameplay, its art style, and just the sense of creativity that it comes with. Yeah, so that seems to be it for our news section. So before we dive into some recommendations for sales coming up, we are going to give our question of the week. So, Liam, what is our question of the week for this week?
Can't remember.
Okay. Don't worry. This is it's briefly what we just talked about, but the question of the week is, what is your game of the year this year? Since the list might not have a game that you've even played, as we mentioned, like I've only played Fire Emblem from those games on there. What would you say is your game of the year?
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Oh, I don't actually know. I don't think I've bought that many games this year because I've still been playing ones from the previous year. In terms of new games, like games that have launched this year, I probably would go with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 and Link's Awakening are my two favourites this year. In terms of older games, I'm still playing, obviously, Mario Tennis Aces, and I've been playing quite a bit of Okami recently. But if it's new games, I'd probably go with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Got it. Nice. Since I didn't get my Switch until March and this game released really close to the end of 2018, I would say that Super Smash Bros. Has been my game of the year and has been motivating me to try out a ton of different new characters on there and even like check out the Dragon Quest demo. But that game is probably my most played on Switch. While I do like Fire Emblem, I've been enjoying Smash Bros. For the majority of the year until then. So Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is my contender for the moment. But if you have a game of the year that you would like to share with us, please let us know in the comments down below, and we'll make sure to share them next week on episode 7 of the podcast. But for now, we are actually going to move over and share some sales and deals that you might want to check out. So let's look at those now. All right. So as you've probably known by now if you've listened to our past podcasts, Liam is located in the UK while I'm over here in the United States. So our eShop sales might vary a little bit, though they seem to have had a lot in common recently. I am looking through some of the sales that I wanted to point out this week, and I cannot remember them right now. But Liam, do you have some that you want to mention while I find the one that I tried to look for?
The one that I would recommend, since it's Halloween as well, is Little Nightmares Complete Edition. It is $11.99 on the UK eStore, so that's the 60% discount. So that is from the developers at Bandai Namco. It's had a lot of great responses and feedback. It looks really cool, so that's on my watch list. So I'm going to pick that up this week, I think.
Ooh, have you ever played it before?
No, I've never played it at all. But I just like the art style. See, I'm looking at the screenshots on the eShop just now. I really like the art style and things. So it looks like my cup of tea.
Nice, that's awesome. I have seen a playthrough of it when it originally came out, so I would recommend playing it with someone else because it's a spooky game. And
Maybe it's not for me then.
oh, I mean, it's kind of creepy, I'd say.
Okay.
But you, oh, it gets you emotionally.
It's good for Halloween though, so if any of our listeners are looking for something for Halloween, it's a good game by the sounds of it, and $11.99, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, definitely. And if you weren't aware, we do have a sequel coming for that game to the Switch. So
Right.
if you are looking to play the original before that comes out, this would be a good time to pick it up.
So what about you? Have you found your game yet?
Yeah, I swear I had it, but the sale might have ended, so now I don't know what to do. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I would recommend. I have mentioned this before, but I've always been checking the 3TS eShop in case there's something there that I want to pick up, since I didn't have a lot of games on there besides Pokemon, but I have some ones that I'm interested in nowadays.
Right.
And I'm totally not stalling right now as I look for sales. Oh, okay, yeah, this one I've seen some gameplay of, and the story seems pretty interesting. Came out a few years ago now, so it might be less relevant, but I'd say that would be interesting to play on your Switch. The game is called Observer, and it is 66% off actually at the moment. So, or just a little under 66%. Normally at $30, you can now get it for $10.49 on the eShop. It's a cyberpunk investigation game where you're in 2084 in Poland, and have to figure out this mystery as a detective who can look into people's memories using technology. He's also trying to find his son potentially, who he thought was dead but might be alive, and it's a whole thing. The aesthetic is pretty interesting, kind of gritty noir, but futuristic at the same time. So if you're interested for a very story based game, this is a pretty good deal on it if you want to pick that up.
Sounds great.
Yeah, kind of gory also. So if you're not into that, I would stay away slightly. But yeah, that looks like it's everything that we have for this week. So, as always, thank you for listening to episode 6 of Spilling the Soup, a Nintendo podcast. I've been William.
I've been Liam.
And we will see you guys next week, hopefully with all 3 of us, but at least 2 of us will be here to share with you the latest Nintendo news. So, thanks for sticking around, and see you then.